There is a place beneath your feet, beneath the soil and rock and everything familiar, where the sun has never touched, where silence isn't peaceful, it's suffocating, where darkness isn't just the absence of light, it's a presence, something thick, something alive. Caves have called to human beings for as long as we've existed. Our ancestors painted their walls, they sheltered within them, they buried their dead inside. There is something ancient in us, something that remembers, that feels the pull of the underground. For modern cavers and spelunkers, that pull becomes adventure. They descend with headlamps and ropes, with maps and experience, chasing formations that took 10,000 years to grow. They move through chambers no one has ever seen. They touch rock that no human hand has ever touched. It feels like discovery. It feels like freedom. And then, sometimes, it doesn't. The cave doesn't care about your experience. It doesn't care about your equipment, your training, your maps. It has existed for millions of years, and it will exist for millions more. You are a soft, warm, fragile thing that wandered into its throat, and sometimes the throat closes. Today we descend into 3 stories from the underground. Stories of explorers who went in and barely came out. Stories of what happens to the human body and mind when every survival instinct fires at once, and there is nowhere to run. These are caving stories gone wrong. The narrow passage. Marcus had been caving for 11 years. He knew how to read rock. He knew how to move his body, when to exhale, when to tuck his shoulders, when to trust the squeeze. He had been through tighter passages than this one, or so he thought. The system was well documented, a popular novice route in the hill country used by guided groups on weekends. Marcus had gone alone. He preferred it that way. Fewer variables, a clean experience. The crawl space at the back of the 3rd chamber was marked on his map as a moderate squeeze. 18 inches of clearance at the tightest point, then it opened into a large gallery beyond. He'd read the route notes online the night before. Tight but manageable, that's what they said. He entered feet first, on his back, pushing with his heels. His headlamp swept the ceiling. Grey limestone, close, very close. He exhaled slowly, pressing his chest flat, and inched forward. The rock pressed against his sternum, against his shoulders. He felt his pack catch somewhere behind him, and he twisted, working it loose. He was halfway through when he stopped being able to move forward. Not difficult, not uncomfortable. Stopped. The rock was against his chest, against his back, against both arms. There was no more room in any direction, and he could not go backward. He had been shaped by the passage into the only position the passage allowed, and that position was fixed. The first thing that happened was the breathing, short, rapid. His diaphragm was compressed, and each inhale came shallow and burning. His headlamp illuminated 6 inches of ceiling above his face. Just rock, just grey, indifferent rock pressing down. The second thing was the sound, his own heartbeat suddenly enormous, filling his skull. 100 beats per minute, then 120. He could feel his pulse in his fingertips, in his temples, behind his eyes. His body had made a decision without consulting him. This is a threat. This is maximum threat. He screamed. Once. The sound didn't travel. The cave absorbed it like a sponge. What came next, Marcus would later describe as the most terrifying and clarifying moment of his life. His mind, stripped of every option, went perfectly, utterly still. Fight was impossible. Flight was impossible. What remained was something older, something that preceded language. He breathed, just breathed. He counted the exhales. On each one, he felt the rock give a millimeter as his chest compressed. He found he could angle his right elbow just slightly, a centimeter of movement, then 2. His heel found purchase on something. He began, infinitely slowly, to move. 22 minutes, that's how long it took to travel 14 inches. When he finally spilled into the gallery beyond, he lay on the cave floor with tears running down his face, laughing. He left the cave and drove home without exploring the gallery. He never went back. Some passages, he understood now, were not meant to be crossed. Not because the rock forbids it, but because the mind, once it has met its limit, must decide. Do you go further into the dark, or do you carry the dark back out with you? Marcus chose to carry it. Others have not been so fortunate. The Flooded Cavern. There were 6 of them. 3 experienced cavers, 2 geology students from the university, and a guide named Elena, who had led this particular system 43 times in 8 years. The forecast had been clear. The cave system, a dry riverbed network carved through limestone, had been mapped and surveyed over decades. There was 1 entrance point and 1 exit. The route took 3 hours. They had food, water, and headlamps with fresh batteries. They were 2 hours in, deep in the lower network, when they heard it. Not a trickle, not a drip. A sound like the earth clearing its throat. A low, rushing moan from somewhere above and behind them. Elena had heard it once before. She didn't wait. She didn't explain. "Move," she said. "Now. High ground. Go." The water came in 30 seconds later. What the students remembered, what all of them remembered, wasn't the cold. It was the speed. The water didn't fill the passage. It detonated through it. Waist height in seconds. A surface that had been dry rock underfoot was suddenly a river, and the river was moving against them. They scrambled, hands on rock faces, feet slipping, headlamps strobing wild light across the ceiling as they fought for footing. One of the students went under. Elena grabbed her pack and yanked. The girls surfaced screaming, not from pain, from cold. The water was 9 degrees Celsius. It punished every nerve ending it touched. The 6 of them found the ledge 20 meters back from where the water hit, a natural shelf of rock, 4 feet wide, running along the eastern wall. They climbed onto it. They pressed together for warmth. They watched the floor of the passage below them disappear under black, rushing water. The water rose for 40 minutes. It stopped 8 inches below the ledge. In that time, almost nothing was said. There was nothing to say. They had enough air, they had each other, they had the ledge. The mind, in genuine extremity, does not spiral. It focuses. It narrows to what is real and what is now. Feet on rock, bodies close, air in, air out. Elena checked everyone's headlamps. She rationed the food, 2 protein bars between 6. She spoke quietly, steadily, about nothing important. The weather, a restaurant she liked, a film she'd seen. Her voice was a rope they all held onto. Search and rescue found them 6 hours later. The water had drained to knee height by then, and the team waded in with thermal gear and stretchers. All 6 walked out under their own power. One of the geology students in a later interview said this: "The moment she thought she would die, she felt, and this surprised her, calm. Not acceptance, not peace. Something more animal than that. A kind of absolute attention to the present moment that she had never felt before and has not felt since." She went on to become a caving guide. She says she's still chasing that feeling. She also always checks the weather for 3 days upstream before she descends. The endless darkness. This is the story that cavers fear most. Not the flood, not the squeeze. This one. Daniel was alone, 400 meters below the surface, when his headlamp went out. He had a backup. He always carried a backup. He reached for it and found the buckle on his pack had given way somewhere in the last passage. The pack had dragged behind him for the last 20 meters. He had not noticed. The backup light was somewhere in the dark behind him, in a passage he could no longer see. He had one more option, the emergency light clipped to his belt. He found it. He pressed the button. Nothing. The batteries. He remembered, with a sensation he described later as a cold hand closing around his heart, had been on the counter at home. He had meant to replace them. He had forgotten. The darkness that followed was not a darkness you know. It was not night. Night has stars, moon, the ambient glow of cities on clouds. This was the absence of every photon that had ever existed. Complete, total, absolute. He sat down. He did not move. He understood, in some preserved, functional corner of his brain, that movement without sight in an unmapped section of cave was how you fell, how you broke things, how you died slowly in a place no one would find you. So he sat, and the darkness pressed in. The human brain, deprived of all sensory input, does not go quiet. It generates. It fills the void. Within minutes, Daniel began to see things, blooms of color, shifting geometries, shapes that his visual cortex was producing from nothing, reaching for something to interpret. He heard sounds that were not there, breathing, footsteps, his mother's voice once clearly saying his name. He knew it was hallucination. Knowing did not help. What saved him was the air. He sat perfectly still and felt the faintest movement across his cheek, a slow, cool current. Caves breathe. They exhale through their entrances. If there is airflow, there is a direction. And if there is a direction, there is a way. He crawled. He kept one hand on the wall, one on the floor. He moved at the speed of a very old, very careful animal, testing every inch before he trusted it. He counted his movements. He tracked his turns. He felt his lost pack under his hand after 11 minutes. He found the backup light. He pressed the button. The beam came on, and he wept. It took him 90 minutes to exit the cave, a journey that had taken 25 minutes on the way in. He sat in the sunlight for a long time before he trusted himself to drive. Daniel still caves. He carries 4 light sources now. He tells the story freely, not as a cautionary tale, but as something else. A reminder, he says, of what we are when everything else is stripped away. Just a small, warm thing in the dark, following the air toward the light. Caves do not try to kill you. This is important to understand. They are not malevolent. They are not indifferent in the way that is cruel. They are indifferent in the way that stone is indifferent, the way deep time is indifferent. They were here before you. They will be here after. Your existence inside them registers as nothing. And that is precisely what frightens us. We live in a world that has been shaped, softened, and curated for human survival. We have light on demand. We have warmth. We have air that moves and skies that change, and 1,000 small signals that tell us we are connected to the surface, to other people, to time itself. The cave strips all of that away, and what it leaves behind is something our ancestors knew intimately, something we have nearly forgotten. The primal self, the animal self. The version of you that existed before language and cities and the comfortable certainty that you will live to see tomorrow. That version of you knows exactly what darkness means, knows exactly what a tightening passage means, knows, in its oldest and most honest register, that you are not the apex of anything down here. Every caver who has met that self and survived comes back changed, not broken, changed. Quieter in some places and louder in others, more present, less afraid of the ordinary dark. The underground world is extraordinary. It is among the last truly wild places left on Earth. Unmapped chambers, unseen formations, ecosystems that have evolved in total isolation for millions of years. People who love it the way you can only love something that could destroy you. But it demands respect. It demands preparation. It demands the humility to know that the mountain of rock above your head does not know your name and was not made to accommodate you and will not move when you ask it to. Go in with your eyes open. Carry extra light. Never go alone. And if you ever find yourself in the dark, really in the dark, in the kind that presses back, remember what Daniel found. Remember what Marcus found. Remember the 6 people on that ledge, holding on to each other, and Elena's voice. The cave does not have to end you, but it will show you who you are. Make sure to like and subscribe to Mr. Wickham Whispers to stay within the safety of the light. Sleep well, if you can. Thank you.